She was handcuffed on the side of the road, cameras filming officers doubting her identity until two black SUVs pulled up and everything those cops thought they knew was ripped apart. The sun was still clinging to the edge of the horizon when Officer Daniel Brooks hit the blinker on his patrol car and pulled behind the black SUV. Ahead, he had spotted the vehicle near the intersection of Maple Street and Pine Avenue in Riverton, Virginia. Broken tail light. Nothing major. He figured he would write the driver a warning and keep it moving. That was the plan. He ran his hand over his tired face and stepped out of the cruiser. "Evening," he said. Approaching the driver's side window, the tinted glass rolled down. Halfway behind it sat a black woman, maybe late 30s, slim build, chin-length box braids, dark blue blazer, no music, no movement, just her calm, still license and registration. "Please," she handed over a small leather wallet. No hesitation. "Your name, ma'am, Maya Carter." Daniel flipped open the ID and paused. The card looked official, but not anything he had seen before. There was a photo of her, a federal seal, and a series of letters he did not recognize. The badge number looked like it belonged to some kind of federal agency. But nothing popped in his mind. Homeland Security, Secret Service, he had been on the force 12 years. He had seen a lot. "This one felt off, this some kind of joke," he muttered almost to himself. Maya did not flinch. "It is legitimate. What is the agency? You do not say anything about CIA or FBI here. I am not at liberty to disclose that." Officer Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Is this a fake ID? You know it is a felony to hand me fake credentials." "Right, still no shift in her tone. It is not fake." He walked back to his cruiser and radio dispatch. "Hey, I need an extra unit pulled. A woman in a black SUV. ID looks federal, but it is not standard." "Get me back up less than 5 minutes later." Another squad car pulled up behind his two officers stepped out. Rookies, probably 2 years in, they stayed back as Daniel approached the driver again. "Ma'am, I need you to step out of the vehicle." Maya exhaled softly, unbuckled her seatbelt, and opened the door. No resistance as she stood. One of the rookies moved toward her. "I am going to have to place you in cuffs for now," he said, voice slightly cracking. "Until we verify who you are making a mistake," she said. "You can explain that at the station." People on the sidewalk began to slow down. A couple of them pulled out phones. One woman whispered, "Is she being arrested?" Another man started filming. Maya did not argue. She simply turned and allowed her wrist to be cuffed. Her blazer shifted slightly, revealing a small earpiece behind her right ear, subtle, barely visible. Daniel caught it, but did not say anything. She was calm. Too calm, and that bothered him more than if she had screamed. But Daniel had not seen her left wrist yet. The smart watch she tilted at just the right angle, seconds before stepping out, whispering something too soft for anyone to hear Maya. Carter stood with her hands behind her back. Cuffs cinched just tight enough to leave a mark. The 3 officers stood in a loose triangle around her. The one on her left looked nervous, bouncing slightly on the balls of his feet. The one behind her kept fidgeting with his radio, like he was waiting for instructions. Daniel stayed quiet, watching her like a hawk. "You live around here?" he asked. "I was just passing through," she replied. "Where were you headed back home? Where is home?" She looked at him directly. "I think you already know." "I cannot answer that." Daniel, step closer. "Listen, you might think being vague and mysterious helps your case, but it does not. Right now, all I see is a woman with no verifiable ID refusing to answer basic questions. You have everything you need, you just do not recognize it." That irritated him. It was not just her words, it was how she said them, controlled, like she was not even nervous. She did not even glance at the phones recording her. One of the bystanders, a teenage girl in a red hoodie, shouted out, "Yo, you all really cuffing her for a broken light?" She did not do anything. "Step back," one of the rookies called out, but the small crowd was not moving. 5 people, then 8. A man on a bike pulled over to watch the camera. Phones were out and angled. Maya did not speak, did not flinch, just stood still. Daniel tapped his radio dispatch. "Any word on that? ID match." A pause. "Static, still checking. Nothing coming up in the regular database." He stepped away, jaw tight, and called the rookie officer over. "Did you pat her down?" "Not yet. Do it," as the rookie stepped forward. Maya finally said something different. "I would not do that." "Why is that?" She turned slightly toward him, just enough for her voice to carry. "Because if you put your hands on me, you might trigger a response." "You cannot walk back from the rookie." Froze. "Is that a threat?" "No, it is a statement." That was when they heard it. Screeching tires, 2 black SUVs, no lights, no sirens, just the sound of rubber against asphalt as they skidded to a stop half a block away. The doors swung open. 4 men in suits stepped out. No hesitation, no discussion. They moved like they had rehearsed this 100 times. The tallest one flashed a badge. "Federal Protective Service, that woman is in our custody. Release her immediately." Daniel stepped forward. "I do not know who you think you are, but we have not confirmed her identity until we do. She stays detained." The tall man stepped in closer. "You are standing on the edge of a serious federal incident. I suggest you let her go before it becomes something bigger." Another man whispered something into the ear of the rookie behind Maya. Whatever he said made the young officer's shoulders drop like lead. He turned pale. The rookie looked at Daniel, eyes wide, but did not say a word. Daniel felt the shift. This was not a prank. These were not overzealous agents. These were real. He had seen that badge before, once in a training exercise 6 years ago. Rare classified. The man who whispered turned to Maya. "Are you okay?" "Agent Carter." She gave a small nod. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small device. Looked like a phone, but thicker. He held it up to her ID. The screen turned green, a sharp beep. "Sounded confirmed," he said. Daniel blinked. What agency are you people with?" The tall man looked at him for a moment. "She works for people who do not carry business cards." But just as one layer peeled back, another began to crack wide open, because not everyone on that sidewalk had pure intentions. Maya's wrists were still bound, but her expression had not changed. Calm controlled the kind of calm that made others uneasy. The agent who had scanned her ID gave a quiet nod, and the rookie officer behind her moved. First he stepped forward, hands slightly trembling, and unlocked the cuffs without saying a word. Maya shook out her wrists, flexing her fingers. No drama, no anger, just a quiet moment of return. Daniel stepped back, trying to collect himself. "You cannot just come in here like this and override a lawful stop." This tall agent, his badge now clearly clipped to his lapel, walked up to him. His voice dropped to a low, steady tone. "Officer Brooks, your stop almost triggered a national security breach. Agent Carter has spent over 14 months deep undercover tracking, something far above your pay grade, and you just pulled her out of cover on a sidewalk." Daniel did not respond. He could not. His radio buzzed, and for a second he hoped it would offer an excuse to step away. "Dispatch here. Still no hits on that ID." "Wait, hold on. Oh, scratch that. We are getting a ping." "Secure channel. Stand by. Too late." Maya stepped past the officers, walking straight toward the man who had addressed her as Agent Carter. The two spoke quietly. Barely audible, she seemed to be reporting debriefing, but casually, like they had planned for this exact kind of failure. The agent looked over her shoulder at the SUV she had been driving. "Did anyone touch the vehicle?" "Just me," said Daniel. "Good, do not touch it again." Another agent circled around and popped the trunk inside, nothing visible, but he pulled up the floor panel to reveal a case not large, maybe the size of a large book. He opened it. Inside, wires, labels, plastic compartments, whatever it was. It was not for civilian use. Was she transporting? Daniel asked, but did not finish the sentence. Maya glanced back. "That is classified. Everything is classified with you people?" She paused, because sometimes the people you are supposed to trust turn out to be the ones selling you out. That made Daniel stiffen before he could respond. One of the bystanders shouted, "Yo, what is this man? She CIA or something?" The agents turned to the small group that had now grown into a full sidewalk crowd. Cameras still pointed at them. "Please stop filming one," said firmly. "Why?" asked the girl in the red hoodie. "So you can pretend this did not happen." Maya stepped forward. She did not yell. She did not make threats. She just looked at the crowd and said, "You have every right to film. Just know what happened here tonight will not stay on the surface for long, and not everything you see is as simple as it looks." Then, without warning, her expression changed. She turned slightly, scanned the crowd, and her eyes landed on someone near the back. A man, baseball cap pulled low, hoodie zipped up high. He was not holding a phone. He was not saying a word. "Target acquired," she whispered into the smartwatch. The agent spun toward where she was looking. The man realized too late. He turned and ran. One of the agents gave chase. Daniel stepped forward instinctively, confused. Who the hell was that someone who was not supposed to know? "I was in town," Maya replied. The crowd suddenly stepped back as the man in the hoodie ducked into an alley. The chasing agent drew something from his coat. A launcher of some kind. He fired once. A pop echoed off the brick. Then silence. Seconds later, the agent returned with the man cuffed, limping slightly. Blood on his sleeve, his hoodie was partially pulled back, revealing a wire tucked under his shirt tracker. "Not a mic," the agent confirmed. Maya exhaled sharply. "They were watching for me. The stop was not random. They baited me onto this route." Daniel looked at her, stunned. "You saying someone inside fed your route to them?" She did not answer directly, just looked at the rookie officer who had cuffed her earlier, then glanced at his belt. Radio, no words, just a flicker of doubt. But if her route was leaked, then someone inside that precinct was not just incompetent. They were working against her, and Maya was not about to let that slide. The precinct building on Briarwood Road was quiet when Maya walked in that night. Not silent, just quieter than it should have been. She had left the SUVs and federal agents behind. They had taken the captured man into a separate holding facility. Maya had asked for one thing: time alone at the local precinct. She was in her element now, no cuffs, no suits shadowing her, just her blazer, her badge, and her resolve. The front desk officer looked up as she entered, slightly startled. "Can I help you, ma'am?" Maya did not stop walking. She flashed a laminated card, then nodded toward the hallway. "Internal audit, secure the floor. I am not here for show." Within 5 minutes, word had spread. Officer Daniel Brooks sat in the break room, a half-eaten microwaved burrito on the table, when a fellow officer walked in and said, "She is here." Daniel stood up. "Who Carter?" He blinked. "What here walked in like she owns the place?" "Says she is doing an internal audit command, told us to cooperate." Daniel swallowed hard and left his food in the hallway. Maya moved like she had been there before because in a way she had not. This exact building, but others like it, small-town departments with cracks wide enough for things to slip through unnoticed or ignored. She found what she was looking for. The internal server room. It was locked, but not to her. She pulled a keycard from her coat pocket and held it to the scanner. Green light door clicked inside. She moved quickly, plugged in a drive, downloaded logs. She was not there to punish. She was there to trace back in the main corridor. Daniel caught up to her. "You just walk in here like it is your house now?" he asked. "I do not have time to explain the entire chain of command to you." He stepped in her path. "I deserve to know what is going on." Maya looked at him hard. "You nearly tanked a national security operation. You want me to send you a memo? That is not fair." "I was doing my job." "No, you were doing what you thought your job was." "There is a difference." They stared at each other. Then, quietly, she added, "When I gave you my ID, you assumed I was faking it, not because the badge did not scan, not because of policy. You just did not think someone like me could carry it." Daniel opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Maya turned away. "I am not here to fix you. I am here to find the leak." But before she could take another step, someone else entered the hallway. Deputy Chief Marcus Hale, late 30s, stocky build. Perfectly shaved head, uniform. Too crisp for someone working swing shift. His eyes landed on her and immediately went cold. "Well, well," he said. "The ghost walks among us." Daniel looked between them. "You two know each other?" Maya did not blink. "He worked with me once overseas. Brief assignment until he disappeared. Mid-op disappeared. That is your version. You walked away with a phone full of encrypted contacts and left 3 bodies in a safe house. My version is the only one that made it back." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Wait, he was CIA, not anymore," Maya said. Hale's eyes flicked toward her hand. "You still wear the watch. That old trick still work. You would be surprised how much has not changed. So what now? You are going to play hero in my precinct. I am not here for show." "I came for one reason." She pulled a small device from her coat. A recorder. "Press play." His voice came through, clipped and distorted. "She leaves that drop point by 7:20. She always takes the same route. I can guarantee it." Daniel's face fell. Marcus Hale did not move. I tapped the signal. "This morning," Maya said, voice cold, "you have been leaking intel to foreign contacts for months. You fed them my location tonight. Thought you would finish what you started overseas." Marcus Hale laughed just once, then lunged Daniel. Moved faster. The 2 men crashed against the wall, chairs toppled, but Maya did not panic. She calmly walked up and pulled her badge again. "Chase Marcus Hale, you are under arrest for treason, unauthorized foreign collaboration, and obstruction of a federal investigation." He was still trying to swing when 2 more officers rushed in to pin him, but as Marcus Hale screamed threats and curses, Maya did not even flinch, because this was not the end of the story. It was just the next piece falling into place. The holding cell clanged shut behind Marcus Hale with a finality that felt personal. Maya stood on the other side of the bars, her eyes steady, arms folded. She did not speak. She did not need to. Marcus Hale was pacing already, trying to reclaim control with his voice. Since everything else was now gone. "You think this ends with me?" he snarled. "You think you have won something?" Maya tilted her head slightly. "You are not my endgame, Hale. You were just the decoy." He stopped pacing. "What is that supposed to mean?" She took a slow step forward. "The man in the hoodie who followed me tonight, he was not waiting by coincidence, he was placed. You fed my route to someone and they sent him to intercept me, but he did not recognize me because you gave him an old photo from before I cut my hair. That tells me something important. You do not know who is really pulling the strings." He looked shaken for the first time. "You are good at betrayal." "Hale," she continued, "but you are a small player. You always have been, and you just confirmed that he barked out a laugh, but it did not land. You will never trace it. You think you have got the whole thread? You do not even have the needle." She did not respond. She simply walked away outside the cell block. Daniel was waiting. He looked different now, shoulders slumped, lips pressed in a thin line. He had heard everything. "So he was one of yours?" He said, "No, he was one of theirs, pretending to be one of mine." Daniel nodded slowly, then added, "Why did not the system catch his ID? Should not there have been red flags?" Maya sighed. "You would be surprised what a clean badge in a few months of silence can hide." Marcus Hale disappeared off our radar just long enough to make everyone think he was dead or buried. Turns out he just changed sides. Daniel rubbed his forehead. "So what happens now?" "We keep going back in the evidence room." Maya retrieved the small case from her SUV, the one the agents had found earlier. She opened it again. This time, with Daniel watching inside, were photos, maps, coordinates, surveillance, still. There were also recordings audio from tapped calls in languages Daniel could not identify, and photos of a man that showed up in every single folder. "That is who I was tracking tonight," she said, tapping the image. "Real name, unknown goes by. Cipher, freelance operative career for several hostile entities, moves, weapons, data people. Why was he here?" "That is the question. He does not spend time in places like Riverton unless someone gives him a reason." Daniel studied the photos. "You think Marcus Hale brought him in? No, Marcus Hale does not have the authority or the brain power to make that kind of move. But someone used Marcus Hale to steer me into that arrest, hoping I would be flagged, maybe even pulled off assignment." He stepped back. "And what if the arrest had gone wrong?" She looked him dead in the eye. "Then you would be at the center of an international crisis, and I would probably be dead." The words hung in the air between them. Finally, Daniel said, "What do you need from me?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "That is a shift." "I did not know." "He said about Hale, about you. I made assumptions." She studied his face. "You sure you are ready for what helping me actually looks like?" "Try me," Maya nodded once, "then let us start with surveillance footage. If Cipher was nearby, there is a good chance he has been captured. On traffic cams, get me access." Daniel left the room without another word. Maya stayed behind and tapped on her smartwatch again. A voice crackled through the earpiece. It was the agent who had chased the man in the hoodie. "We pulled his phone," the voice said. "Encrypted messages, photos of your SUV taken an hour before the stop. Someone was tracking you. Long before tonight?" Her jaw clenched. "Understood. Keep digging." She hung up, closed the case, and locked it again. But she already knew the truth. If someone had eyes on her before she hit that intersection, the operation was not just compromised. It was bleeding from the inside. An hour later, Maya sat alone in the precinct's evidence room, the overhead light humming faintly. Her fingers moved quickly across the keys of a government-secured laptop. Surveillance feeds, facial recognition, overlays, and timestamp GPS data blinked across the screen. She did not need help navigating this part. This was her arena. But what she found made her stomach tighten. Cipher had not just been nearby, he had been parked across from a middle school 5 blocks away. Engine off, windows up. He sat there for 47 minutes, long enough to watch parents pick up their kids, long enough to time police patrols, long enough to plan. She clicked to zoom in on the license plate of the vehicle. It was stolen. Not a surprise, but what was surprising was the second man that appeared in the frame, 20 minutes in, blurry, unidentifiable, but walking up to Cipher's window and handing him a small envelope. Daniel stepped in with a flash drive, pulled the rest of the traffic cam footage. "Looks like he circled your arrest point twice before your stop." Maya took the drive without looking up. "You recognize this man?" she asked, tilting the screen toward him. He leaned in hard to tell. "Wait." Yeah, his voice cut off. His jaw moved, but no sound came out. "You know him?" He finally nodded. "That is Eric Dalton. He is a city planner for Rockford, has clearance to access traffic systems, public building schematics he was. Assigned to a Homeland Security Liaison Committee 2 years ago, never struck me as dirty." "He is not," Maya said. "He is compromised or being used." Daniel sat down across from her. "So this guy—" "Cypher, what is his deal? He does not think like a terrorist. He moves like a courier, gets paid to carry classified materials across borders and through digital dead zones. No ideology, just contracts. And if he is here in a city like this, working with a guy like Dalton, that means someone is preparing for a transfer." Daniel leaned back in his chair. "What kind of transfer? The kind that does not involve cash or goods, the kind that involves data. Personal secrets." She opened another folder on her screen and pulled up a map of several public buildings, a data center, a federal courthouse, a communications hub. All of these are on Dalton's oversight list. All of them experienced power testing delays last week, and all of them use the same internal control contractor, a company called Novatech Systems. Daniel frowned. "That is a federal contractor. We have used them for traffic light sensors exactly, which means if you compromise one Novatech node, you could jump across multiple departments, including law enforcement, which could explain how Marcus Hale knew your route." Maya nodded. "That is the link. It was not just Marcus Hale feeding information, it was someone inside the city's infrastructure. The arrest was bait, but it was also covered to distract me." While the actual transfer happened elsewhere, she checked the time, and that transfer is happening in the next 2 hours. I guarantee it. Daniel stood. "So, where do we go?" "You do not." "Not officially. This still falls outside your jurisdiction, but I need access to the city's maintenance tunnels. Dalton has clearance, which means there are likely blind spots that only he knows about." He rubbed the back of his neck. "You sure you want to go in alone?" Maya gave him a dry look. "That is the job." Before he could answer, her phone buzzed. It was the agent from earlier. "We have got eyes on Cypher. Again, he said he is leaving a hardware warehouse on Hayes Boulevard, carrying something small. He is headed toward the courthouse district." Maya closed the laptop. "That is it. That is the transfer." Daniel blocked the door. "I am coming with you. I do not need backup. I am not backup. I am a witness, whatever happens next. I am not letting this department sit blind anymore." Maya stared at him, then handed him a small pouch vest in there. "You will need it," but even as they prepared to leave, neither of them knew just how deep the tunnel ran or how close they were to someone willing to destroy lives just to keep one secret buried. It was after midnight when Maya and Daniel stepped into the old maintenance tunnel off Route 50, one of those overlooked access points carved out during the Cold War. Now mostly ignored by city planners, the smell of rust and wet concrete clung to the air, their boots echoed with every step. A rhythm that tightened the chest more than the silence ever could. Maya moved ahead with the flashlight clipped to her collar. "Keep your eyes on the corners," she muttered. "Cypher moves quiet." Daniel kept close. He had not said much since they left the precinct, but his breathing had changed. He was not just nervous, he was trying to match her pace, prove he could handle it. 50 yards in, they hit a junction, and there he was. Cypher slim, mid-40s, olive skin, light stubble, leather jacket zipped halfway up his expression. Barely shifted when he saw them, he held a slim silver case in his left hand. "You are early," he said. Maya did not blink. "You are sloppy." Cypher gave her a half smile. "You were always good with words, better with guns." "Though you carrying tonight?" Daniel glanced sideways. Maya did not answer. She did not have to. "I want the case," she said, stepping forward. Cypher raised an eyebrow. "You think I came all this way to hand it over? You came all this way to live. Those are two different things behind them." Faint footsteps echoed from above. A storm grate being closed, Maya turned her head. "Slightly, did you bring someone?" Cypher gave a slow shrug. "Just the broker. He does not like being seen, then he should not be in this business." Suddenly, a voice called from behind the wall. "You have already lost." "Carter." Daniel turned toward the voice. Another man stepped into view. Eric Dalton. He looked rougher than his photo, sweat on his collar, a gun in his hand. "I used to admire your work," he said. "You stayed invisible longer than anyone else I ever tracked." Maya did not flinch. "And now you are standing in a drain pipe with a stolen gun and a mouthful of excuses." "I am standing in the future. You are trying to protect a machine that is already broken." Cypher shifted slightly, his hand hovering over the case latch. "No," she snapped. "You open that case, I end you right here." Daniel raised his sidearm. Dalton laughed. "You think this ends in gunfire?" "No, this ends in silence with your file buried under 10 layers of red tape." "You are leaking personnel movements to foreign networks," Maya replied. "Steady, that case does. Not hold data. It holds access credentials if it gets out. 7 agents go dark by sunrise." Cypher's expression changed slightly enough for her to know he had not been told the full story. "They lied to you," she said to him. "You are not carrying money or a trade agreement, you are carrying names. You think they will let you walk after that." Cypher's jaw clenched. "I want the case," she repeated, "or I leak the video from the alley tonight." "Your face, your contact, your car." "Eric." Dalton tensed. "She is bluffing." "No," Cypher said quietly. "She is not in one fluid motion." Cypher turned and slammed the case into Eric Dalton's ribs. The man collapsed with a grunt, gun clattering to the ground. Maya lunged forward, grabbed the case, and kicked the weapon away. Cypher held his hands up. "I never agreed to kill anyone. I was told it was clean paper only." Maya stared at him. "You just chose survival. That does not make you innocent." He nodded once. "But I am not your enemy." She did not answer, just turned to Daniel. "Call it in, Daniel." Radioed in with a trembling voice, giving exact location and requesting containment. His eyes kept darting from Cypher to Eric Dalton, who groaned on the floor, trying to sit up. Maya stood still, clutching the case. Then softly she said, "You want to know the worst part?" Daniel looked at her. This was not supposed to happen here. This was supposed to be just another pass-through quiet clean. Now a city is going to burn with questions. It is not ready to answer, but while the city above still slept, 2 secrets had already been cracked open, and neither Maya nor Daniel had any illusions that those doors would close again. By dawn, the courthouse district was under lockdown. Marked cars lined every corner. The press had not caught wind yet, but it was only a matter of time inside a sealed briefing room at a federal annex building just outside Riverton. Maya sat across from 2 officials, one from the Office of Counterintelligence, the other from the Department of Justice. Neither smiled. Both carried folders. With her name on them, she was not surprised. "You broke protocol," one of them said, flipping a page. "You compromised a covert assignment, went rogue, in a municipal precinct and coordinated with a civilian officer without formal clearance." Maya leaned forward. "I also stopped a classified data transfer, neutralized 2 domestic threats, and recovered an access key that would have exposed our safe assets across 7 countries." "Silence!" The second official cleared his throat. "We have reviewed your footage. The body cams, the security cams, your watch recordings. He looked up. You were right. Maya did not nod. She already knew outside the briefing room. Daniel stood waiting near the vending machines, sipping a stale cup of coffee. He had not slept, he probably would not, for a while. When she stepped out, he gave a quick half-smile. They read you the riot act. They tried, he nodded. Then hesitated. What now? Maya paused. Now they will sweep it, frame it as a local miscommunication. They will bury Marcus Hale's record, reassign Eric Dalton's access logs, and mark Cypher as detained under undisclosed cooperation. It will be sanitized by noon. Daniel leaned against the wall. I know. I am not supposed to say this, but I am sorry. Maya raised an eyebrow. For what? For the stop for not recognizing the weight you carry? She looked at him for a beat too long. You made a bad call, she said. But you did not double down on it. That is what counts. He swallowed. You could have gotten killed, but I did not. And maybe now neither will someone else. They walked out of the building together just as the sun cut through the buildings, orange slicing across the concrete. Across town, social media had exploded. A bystander's video of Maya being handcuffed had gone viral overnight. Over 900,000 views. Heated arguments filled the comments. Some defending the officers, others outraged by the treatment of a federal agent based solely on suspicion. News outlets started calling it the Riverton incident, and the questions were starting to pile up. Why had not her ID scanned? Why? Was not there a better verification process for undercover personnel? Why did it take backup agents to de-escalate a situation that never should have escalated in the first place? But the real question, the one no one dared to ask aloud, was this. How many Maya Carters never make it to the part where someone listens? Maya watched the headlines scroll across a TV screen in a nearby shop window. She did not smile, but she did not turn away either. Later that afternoon, Marcus Hale was transferred to a secure federal detention facility in Fort Meade. No bail, no press coverage, just gone. Eric Dalton resigned from his city planning post, citing health concerns. His house had already been cleared by the time reporters showed up. No cameras were allowed inside. Cypher was taken to a black site in Maryland. He would not appear in any court records, but according to the agent who later met with Maya, he was cooperative, whatever that meant. Daniel returned to his shift. 4 days later, he drove slower, watched more, thought longer before speaking. The next time he pulled someone over, he checked the ID 3 times, then looked at the person. Not just the credentials, but Maya was already gone by then. Back in the wind, her name cleared her mission intact, and the world none the wiser, except maybe one small town that would not forget her face anytime soon. Maya's SUV rolled quietly along the winding back roads outside of Riverton. She did not use GPS, did not need it. Her directions came coded through channels most people would never know existed. A new assignment waited 3 states over. She had just enough time to breathe before going under again. The trees blurred past her window, but her mind was not on the scenery. It was on the question. Daniel asked before she left. Does this ever get easier? She had not answered at the time, not because she did not know, but because the truth did not feel like something you said out loud in a hallway. Now, hours later, she whispered to herself. No, but you stop expecting it to. She pulled off at a rest stop to refill her thermos. The clerk inside recognized her from somewhere he could not place, just gave her a polite nod as he rang up the coffee. Maybe he had seen the video? Maybe not either way. She did not offer more on her way back to the car. She spotted a news alert flashing on her phone. Riverton Police Department announces new federal liaison role following internal oversight incident below. It was a photo of Daniel Brooks, clean-shaven, straight-faced, a badge clipped to his belt in a new way, less for show, more for responsibility. She let out a short breath through her nose. It was not exactly pride, but something close back on the road. She thought about the things no one else ever sees. The close calls, the recordings that never make it to the public. The agents who vanish without farewell. People think the danger is in the foreign names, the aliases, the men in unmarked vans. But more often it is in the routine moments. A broken tail light, a voice asking for ID. A decision made in 5 seconds that determines whether someone gets to keep breathing. The real threat is always hiding where it looks most normal. She checked her side mirror, no one was following. Still, she turned off the highway a mile early and took a longer route through a residential area. A habit now probably always would be. A call came through her earpiece, Agent Carter said. The voice you cleared for briefing, go ahead. There is chatter in Memphis. Same network. Might be a test drop this time. Send the packet, she said. I will review it en route. She hung up and turned the volume knob down on the radio. Silence. She liked it that way. At the next light, a little girl crossed the street with her mother, braids bouncing, backpack swinging. The mother looked tired but watchful. Maya watched them for a moment, then smiled just slightly. There were people out there fighting with signs, with cameras, with court cases. She did not knock it, but her weapon had always been something else. Silence, precision, and the kind of patience that outlasted the noise. What happened in Riverton would never make the full front page. The story would get watered down, misquoted, politicized. But somewhere in that town, a teenager in a red hoodie had filmed the whole thing, and she was not taking it down, not for the cops, not for anyone. And somewhere else, Daniel Brooks would stop looking for badges that matched only what he had seen before he had started listening first. That was enough for her, because sometimes justice does not come with headlines or parades. It comes with a pause, with someone taking a second longer to think, and maybe that second saves someone's life. She turned on to the highway again. New mission, new city, same risk, and she was ready. So the next time you see someone pulled over, cuffed, or questioned, remember stories like Maya's do not always come wrapped in uniforms or titles, but they are out there every day, unseen, unheard, but fighting to keep things from slipping too far, and maybe just maybe asking questions before making judgments is the real beginning of change.